I'm going to start off this video by saying exactly what you don't want me to say, which is all marketing works, right? You might already know that, you might not, but you might have had some past experiences with certain marketing strategies and it went terribly, or you might have never tried one and you think, that definitely wouldn't work for me, or you might have had good experiences as well, which is fantastic. But at the end of the day, they all work. It just depends on your execution. Now, which one you want to go for tends to be a personal choice, swayed by facts, but at the end of the day, and also what you're good at and what you're not good at, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But essentially, the goal of this video isn't to be like, this works, this is the best, this one sucks. It's just to lay out my personal opinions, and you could say facts, and for you to get an understanding of the marketing strategies, and then you could be like, okay, I think this would work best for my brand and my personal accounting firm. So let's get started. My name is Wael Lekmus and I am the founder of Account Grow. And me and my partner, we have tried a lot of marketing strategies out there. We've tried LinkedIn, we've tried cold emailing, cold email marketing, we've tried cold calling, we've tried Facebook ads, we've tried it all. And we found our strategy that works now, but we have a good idea on the ups and downs of each strategy. And as an accountancy firm owner, then you have to consider your different services and what category they fall under. There's two. There is demand capture and demand generation. Demand generation is when you can go up to someone and convince them of your services cold. So imagine a cold call, calling someone and convincing them of your services. Demand capture is understanding that, you know what, people either need this or don't. 9 times out of 10, it's very difficult to convince most people of this. So it's better to just put yourself out there and see who comes to you. So just to repeat myself, demand capture is when you go out in the market and you say, listen, we exist, and you find the people that just need your strategy, just the yeses rather than nos. And demand generation is when you can convince someone who might already have a solution to use yours instead. And 9 times out of 10, as an accountant, then you have a demand capture offer. People won't want to change their accountant or use a different bookkeeping services if they're mildly happy or very happy with what they currently have, because it's such a pain to. So you have to find the people that just don't even have it in the first place or are unhappy with their current solution. So when considering a marketing strategy, we have to consider 6 things. Quality of the leads coming in, volume, how many you can send out as one person, scalability, how easy it is to ramp it up, cost, how much is it going to cost you to acquire one client, how much is going to cost you to acquire one client or even run the system in the first place, speed, how fast is it going to bring you clients and meetings, and repeatability, how repeatable is it, how easy is it to teach someone else to do it for you so that you can focus on other things. So I'm going to quickly write those out, and then we're going to go over different marketing strategies and rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 for each of those categories, and then you can decide best which one would work for you. Okay, let's start off with LinkedIn DMs. So not LinkedIn content, LinkedIn DM. In terms of volume, the capacity of the amount of LinkedIn DMs you can send as one account a day is around 30 each day, I believe. And it depends on how many people accept your connection request. And an average acceptance of connection requests is 25%, and you can send about 800 each month, I believe it is. So it's 40 connections a day, 5 days a week, for 4 weeks a month. So that leaves you at about 200-ish DMs a month, which breaks it down to 40 DMs a week. So it's not the capacity, but that's roughly what you'll be sending to about 10 DMs a day. Now, if you're sending 10 DMs a day, it's not bad, but it's not very much volume. You're reaching out to 10 people each day from one account. So in terms of volume, I'd probably rate it a 3 out of 10. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. So 3 out of 10, could give it 4. Now, in terms of cost, all you have to pay for is Sales Navigator. Sales Navigator costs about 100 USD. You can get it from third parties for about 30 USD a month. So in terms of cost, it's not very expensive at all, but it does take up some time. So if you want LinkedIn to be effective, then some people, now this depends on what strategy you go for here. Obviously, it depends, but if you want to do research, then it's going to cost you a lot of time. And if you don't want to do research, then it's not going to cost you a lot of time, and it's only going to cost you 100 USD. So in terms of cost, I'd say it's pretty solid, not too expensive, neither on time nor on money. So I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Again, you could give it an 8 if you wanted to. Now, scalability, it's quite scalable. You can just use different accounts and just teach people to do that. So you can just hire your colleague, you can hire a family member's account really, and use theirs to send out more DMs. But to send out 100 DMs a day, you need 10 different LinkedIn accounts. Again, this is a volume problem, but even scalability, to send 1,000 DMs a day, you need 100 different accounts. And there's some strategies out there that can get you 1,000 not DMs necessarily, but 1,000 impressions, or 1,000. It just reaches 1,000 people a day. Now there is LinkedIn in-mails. Now for in-mails, it's different. I think I'll do a separate one for that because it is slightly different. But for LinkedIn DM specifically, scalability, I give it a 4 out of 10. It's doable, but it gets difficult. Now, quality is really good on LinkedIn. If you can get a booked meeting on LinkedIn, really good chance they'll convert. The quality on here is absolutely fantastic. People can consume your content, they can consume who you are, they can just learn about you and your company in their own time. So it's actually really good. I'd probably give it a solid 9 out of 10. And not only that, but when someone books a meeting with you, you can ask them questions on your Calendly link, which ensures that they are qualified. So again, 9 out of 10. You could give it an 8. I wouldn't give it a 10, but definitely up there. Speed, quite slow. Again, you're limited to how many people accept your connection requests, and you're limited to how many you send a day, which is only 10. And some people book straight away, but chances are it takes a week or two to even get the first booking. So speed, it's not terrible. There are worse strategies out there. So I give it a solid 6 out of 10. And again, reason being, you don't have to wait loads, but it's not instant either. Now, repeatability, very easy to someone teach system, as long as you systemize the whole thing. Super easy to teach people, so we can call it a solid 8 out of 10. Now, I'm actually going to skip in-mails because I'm not very knowledgeable on in-mails, so I'll just jump to content next. So content volume, it can be really good, it can be really bad. It just depends on how good you are at writing the content. But if over time you scale it up, you can reach hundreds of thousands of people a day or a week just from posting one single video. So in terms of volume, it doesn't really get much better than content itself. Obviously, you have to be good and you have to build it up over time, which we'll talk about later in terms of speed. But honestly, 10 out of 10. Cost, it depends on the production team, etc. It depends on what type of content you need to create. But generally speaking, you can create good content with low cost. It does cost time, but usually the ROI on that is absolutely incredible. So content, I give it solid 5 out of 10 on cost. Scalability, now scalability is really good. Reason being, you only really need yourself. Now you can get hundreds, you can get tens of views, same way as you can get hundreds, same way as you can get thousands, same way as you can get tens, if not hundreds, if not millions, if not tens of millions of views, just from your own videos. So again, scalability, really good. I'd give it a solid 9 out of 10. Quality, now again, quality is absolutely incredible. People will literally consume your content. They'll get to know who you are. They'll get to know how you joke, how you talk, how you just live your life from content. It's incredible. Someone books in because they've been consuming your content for months. There's a super high chance this person will convert. So again, quality, it really doesn't get much better than content. 10 out of 10. Now, this is the kicker. Content is probably one of the slowest ROIs. It can take months, if not years, to even see your first booking, to see anything. But once it is working, it works extremely well, as you can see. But speed, it generally does not get much worse than content. 1 out of 10. Repeatability, you have to keep coming up with ideas. You have to keep making fresh content. It's not difficult. You can teach someone to do it, but again, it tends to have to be you. So it's really repeatable in that sense. But it's not repeatable, or it's a little bit less repeatable in the sense that you have to keep coming up with ideas, filming them, etc. So I give it a solid 7 out of 10. Networking. Now, I could say referrals, but referrals is technically completely out of your control. I wouldn't even call it marketing, but let's say networking. Ran out of space there, but networking. Volume, again, it's not too bad. You can probably talk to a few people in a day, but it depends on the networking events, depends how often you go to them. So volume actually is pretty bad. You can talk to, tens if not hundreds of people a day, or in a space of 3 or 4 days, depending on how long the networking event is. But again, these don't tend to happen that often. The ones I know happen every 3 months, if not 6 months or so. So in terms of volume, probably 2 out of 10. Cost, again, extremely high. You have to get there, you have to be there, so it's going to cost you time and it's going to cost you money. So I don't really think it gets much worse than networking in terms of cost, in terms of time and money, especially you have to pay for your team to get there and everything. So I'm going to have to give it a 1 out of 10. Scalability, not really scalable, unless you start doing your own networking events and everything. Yeah, not really that scalable. So 3 out of 10. Quality, absolutely amazing. We all know from networking, quality is absolutely incredible. They actually met you in person, they know you exist, they trust you fully. Quality, 9 out of 10. Speed, again, it's in the whims of the actual event. It can shape up pretty fast from there. Once you actually do the networking, you get to know someone, they come. It does happen pretty fast, so I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Repeatability, you can, I suppose, hire people to go do the networking for you, or that could just be employees in general. So in terms of repeatability, it's pretty good. Just have to trust someone to be charismatic. 6 out of 10. So with Google and SEO, it's a pretty good strategy. Again, it's long term, but let's get into it. Volume, pretty good. It depends how much you pay, but you can get through to a lot of people, and you can get through to 100 people a day, if not 1,000 people a day. Volume can be pretty good, so 8 out of 10. Now, cost depends. I've seen very successful SEO strategies occur from even just $600 a month, but I've also heard people sink thousands into this and get nothing back. So cost depends how good you are at it, depends what you do, depends on your services, depends on your website. 5 out of 10. Scalability, super scalable. If you get the right stuff, then you can just put more money into it. Super scalable, couldn't be easier than that. 10 out of 10. Quality, to be honest, I've never taken a Google SEO quality. The chance are it's quite good because it's someone literally looking up, accounting services, bookkeeping services, fractional CFO services. So if they're looking that type of thing up, then chances are they need it, and chances are if they book an appointment, then they've gone through your website, consumed it, see that you're good at what you do, and book an appointment. So probably pretty good. Probably give it a 7, and that could go up to an 8. Speed, very slow. Again, I'd be surprised if you got something within the first maybe a few weeks. Usually you probably get something within the first month or two. Depends how much you spend. Starts off slow, but moving forward isn't slow. It's a little bit unpredictable as well. Depends on the time of year. Let's go 6 out of 10. No, let me change my mind. I'm gonna go for a 4 out of 10. Because again, if you're doing like tax, or if it depends on the tax season and time of year, this could be really fast or really slow. But anything that's not in your control doesn't get a high rating. Repeatability, again, it's super easy. Probably teaching someone to do it isn't very difficult. It sounds like you don't really need to teach someone to do it. So because of the learning curve at the start, 7 out of 10. Facebook ads, in my opinion, is Google and SEO, but better. In terms of volume, again, you can reach as many people as you want to reach. It depends on your industry, but realistically, you could reach the whole American population if you have enough. If you have enough ad spend. If not, you can reach the entire planet if you have enough ad spend. I saw a statistic: 230 million people, I believe, or 250 million people in the US are on Facebook. It's quite literally like 70-ish% of the population, or actually towards 80% of the population. So you can reach pretty much everyone. And I believe it's around 2 billion people on the planet use Facebook. So that's 25% of the global population. So you're gonna have no issues there in the slightest. So volume, 10 out of 10. Cost, you can actually get really good results from just $30 to $40 a day. It depends on how good your ad is. But if you can get it good, then from sort of $1,000, $1,200 a month, you can get quite a few clients. You can get probably 3 or 4 clients. So cost, like solid 7 out of 10. Scalability, if you got the cash, you can scale it. 10 out of 10. Let's call it 9 out of 10. Just because of it's not exactly linear. Like if I spend $50 a day, take it to 100, I'm not exactly gonna get double. So that's sort of the caveat, but other than that's pretty good. In terms of quality, it depends on your process. If you have a very good Facebook ads process, then you can get that quality up to 8, maybe potentially even 9. Again, the people that are coming to you are people that actively have a problem and they're looking for a solution. However, I know people are not very good at doing this. So because of that, I think it can go up to a 9, but because people aren't very good at using Facebook ads, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Could even say a 6, to be honest. In terms of speed, you start getting stuff from the first day, to be honest. When we started running Facebook ads, it started getting stuff from even the first week. So speed, solid 8 out of 10. Repeatability. Actually, one more point I should mention about speed. I'm going to take this down to 7. Reason being, sometimes it can take a minute to find the right ad that resonates with your market. And because of that, it can slow down and it can take a few weeks. But again, if you're good, it can even be a 9 out of 10. Repeatability, you don't really need to teach anyone to do this, but you can, and it's not very difficult because I've learned it myself and my partner's learned it himself very, very quickly. So in terms of repeatability, genuinely 7 out of 10. Depends how, I don't know, I guess, eager to learn the other person is. Interlude, the reason I'm not given an overall rating for these is because it genuinely depends on yourself. For example, if you've got a lot of cash and a lot of money, a lot of cash and a lot of time, then maybe you're going to want something for high cost that sacrifices in the other bits. But if you don't have much time or you don't have much money, then you might want to go for something that's a bit more volume or a bit more scalable or a bit more quality. It just depends what you're looking for. And if you're someone that doesn't want a lot of clients, so maybe you don't want something that's very scalable, or you don't want something that gives much volume, you just want something that maximizes on quality. So I can't give an overall rating because it just depends what you want. I'm just giving what I'd rate these on a scale of 1 to 10, and from there you can choose yourself on which categories you want to maximize on the most. All right, I'm going to do 3 more just so this video doesn't go on forever. I'm going to do cold emailing, cold SMS, and cold calling. Let's start with cold emailing. Volume, again, I know people that send out hundreds of thousands of emails a day. Volume, it can be really good. It gets into cost, but you can send out loads of volume each day and you can get some super good results from it. So volume, 9 out of 10. Cost, I know that a basic functioning email infrastructure that is good costs at least 1,000 to 1,500 each month, and that's on a basic number of volume, so it's not very much. In fact, some would even argue you can't really get a proper email infrastructure without $2,000, $2,500 a month. So in terms of cost, it's not the best. I'll give it 5 out of 10. It's not the most expensive. Actually, let's go 4. It's not the most expensive, but a lot of people do cold emailing thinking they can send a couple emails a month or even a few hundreds and think they can get away with it with low cost. But if you don't spend a lot, you're not going to get much back. Scalability, super scalable. As long as you've got the money for it, you can send out more and more and more emails. Again, you do start getting issues with inboxes and stuff, but I'm pretty sure with today's technology, it gets fairly easy to fix. So I'll call it a 7 out of 10. Quality, I'm going to be completely honest. I have never done cold emailing. My partner has. In terms of quality, I have no idea what type of quality it brings. But because people get spammed with emails, if you can get through the noise and someone actually clicks on your email and says, yes, this is good, then chances are it's quite good. So I'll give it 6 out of 10. Speed, I mean, it does need some warming up emails. So that's something to consider. But after that, you start ramping it up. So because of that, speed, it's not the worst, it's not the best, 5 out of 10. And once you've got it running, there is no speed involved. You can just keep getting meetings every day. So after that, it can go up. But obviously, to get things started in the first place, there is a warm-up process. So 5 out of 10. Could say 4. It's up to you. Repeatability. Fairly easy to teach someone. In fact, it's extremely easy to teach someone how to do it. All you really have to do is tell them the copy and probably teach them how to slightly switch up the copy every now and again. So solid 7 out of 10. You could argue 8 out of 10. Now, cold calling, here we go. This is my area of expertise. Cold calling, volume, crap. To send out 100 a day, or to cold call 100 people a day, just to get about 10 to 15 pickups, is going to take you probably about 2 hours. So if not more, like if you're really not a procrastinator and you're really efficient with it, it'll be 2 hours. But most people do procrastinate. So from one person to do one sort of about 100 cold calls, maybe 150, depending on how efficient they are, let's say 3 hours, takes a lot of time. And it's in terms of volume, it's not the worst, but to be fair, we're talking about volume here, not cost. So in terms of volume, you can do probably about 100 a day. 100 a day is pretty good, so I give it a solid 6 out of 10. Cost, this is the big one. Now, it costs a lot of money to get a good cold caller. It costs a lot of time to do the cold calling yourself, and it costs your mental sanity to do cold calling yourself. So in terms of cost, it's probably one of the worst ones out there. It does cost a lot. I know when I say if I give these ratings, it's not purely monetary. It's monetary is part of it, but in terms of cost, because it costs your sanity, it costs time, and it costs money if you want to hire somebody else. That's actually good. And it's going to cost you even more time to train them. Probably give it a 4 out of 10. However, if you're talking purely monetarily and you're just starting off your practice, or potentially you just don't have much cash right now to invest and you've got time to spend, then this becomes, you could say 10 out of 10. It's pretty much free. The only thing it costs, again, is your time and sanity. Scalability, this is one of the hardest ones to scale. Now, repeatability is something we'll get onto later, but you got to hire someone, you got to train them, you have to pay them well, you have to encourage them, you have to make sure they don't leave. Oh my goodness. Scalability, 2 out of 10. Probably one of the worst ones to scale. Super difficult to scale cold calling companies, super difficult, which is what I try to do. But to scale cold calling team as well, I mean, it's essentially the same thing, having a cold calling company or team. Obviously, you're not offering cold calling as a service, but essentially it's the same thing. But scalability, if you want a cold calling team calling for your accountancy firm, it's going to be tough to scale. Quality, you'd think it'd be good, but trust me, we've done cold calling for accountants. The quality really isn't that good. People that you book in will be people that are vaguely interested, and to find the person that actually is fully interested in what you do, you're gonna have to call several hundred phone numbers. So again, quality, surprisingly, 3 out of 10. Even if you have an extremely good system, which we did, the quality still won't be that good. Speed, you can get meetings first day, you can get meetings every day. There's no sort of warm-up process. Again, to be honest, 8 out of 10. Unless you're training a team, which is something different, but let's say in this case, you're doing it yourself. Repeatability, trust me, you can be the best cold caller ever. Teaching people to do cold calling is something else. And if you want to hire someone, it's going to cost you a lot of money. So repeatability, probably one of the hardest things to teach is cold calling. People will tell you it's easy, but actually getting someone to apply the cold calling and get good at it, so difficult. This one stinks. Cold SMS, now volume, super good. I know people that send millions of SMSs a day, insane. There is no cap to it. It just depends on actually registering for it, and there is some complications there. But in terms of volume, you can send out, as a small company, you can send out up to 35,000 a day from just a medium volume. That gets into A2P registrations and everything, which I won't get into. But in terms of volume, it's quite literally unlimited. Genuinely the best, probably 10 out of 10. Cost, now to send out 1,000 SMSs a day, it costs about $900 a month. How many meetings are you going to get from that? To send 2,500 SMSs a week, it's going to cost you about $1,000. So for 10,000 SMSs, $10,000. How many meetings would you get from that? It depends on your copy, depends how good it is, but let's assume 0.3%, which is KPI, which is something that a mediocre SMS message would get. Then you'll get about 30 meetings a month from this, which is pretty solid. So I'd give it a solid, it's not the cheapest, not the most expensive, 5 out of 10. Scalability, super easy to scale. You could just simply send out more SMSs. It's going to cost you a little bit more, but so you could just simply send out more. It's not very difficult. And by the way, when I said cost, it does include buying the leads and sending out the SMSs and receiving replies, etc. And scalability, super easy. You can hire just a random worker with barely any training to run this for you. So solid 8 out of 10. Actually, I'm going to change my mind here. Scalability, as far as I know, there's nothing stopping them from just sending more SMS other than cost. So 9 out of 10. You know what? I'm going to do the first 0.5, 8.5. Quality, hit or miss. Generally, hit or miss. Either super good, super bad. From our experience, quality can be pretty good. Most of the time it's good. You can get some stinky ones, but again, you can get that anywhere from any platform. So 7 out of 10. Speed, you can literally send out 30,000 SMSs in your first day. It just depends on getting the right copy. Because of the right copy stuff, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 because it can take a week or two to find the winning copy. Repeatability, nothing easier than this. It's so easy. It's not as easy as obviously running ads or anything, but it's like you can hire someone with hardly any training to do this. 9 out of 10. In fact, it's so easy, someone doesn't even really need to speak proper English to run this for you. So that's it. That's all the ratings. I hope that helped. From here, you can choose your own strategy. You can think, yes, on maximize on quality, on volume, on repeatability, scalability, anything you'd like, and see which one would fit you best. You can run multiple, but you'd rather run one, get good at it, and then start running another one then. Again, if you want somebody to do this for you, then me and my partner at Account Grow, we can run that for you. We can do the outreach for you, and we will get you 12 to 15 meetings every single month that are top-notch quality, because that's what we focus on. We want you to get the clients that you want to work with, rather than clients that you just say yes for just because you want, more jobs, right? So if you're interested in that, check out the link in my description. If not, have a fantastic day. See you in the next one.